So apparently Brevoort left that shulker here as a surprise for us, and I really wanted to get a clip with it, but it died before we could. Fortunately, we have both that replay and this shell to remember it by. Hi friends, it's enbentz. Welcome back to Metacraft. It's episode 18 of season 3. I hope you all are having a lovely day. In fact, you can confirm if you are having a lovely day by shooting arrows at me if I walk closer to you. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys are all doing so well. Anyway, for today's episode, I really want to get a whole lot of building done here in the childhood. Maybe sort of call it the beginning of the ending for this build this season. I also, this episode, want to kind of pull the curtain back on how I've built some of these things all throughout the base this season and show you kind of how that process works as we do. All right, well, that's sad. You done did that to yourself. What is that? Bad Omen 2? Okay. Are you quite finished? You guys shower me with your love. Thank you. To start off this episode, we have to begin by going to this Redstone Creative World, because every single build that I've made in Metacraft this season, and some in previous seasons, started off in this world. Now, the way that I do that process is I go into Creative, and I select the block palette that I want to use, and then I find some sort of a reference image either online or if I have the actual thing in real life, like Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber or this Game Boy SP, I will begin to reconstruct what that would look like in Minecraft. And it takes a while to work it out sometimes. For example, over here, you can see I have 2 Tonka trucks because I made this one and I realized it was too long for the area that we had to fit it in. So I had to make it a little bit shorter, and then that is the one we ended up going with. Now, over here, you can see a few things that we haven't built in Metacraft yet this season, and that's because we just built them. These are Star Wars pixel arts that I really want to add to our base. I love Star Wars so much that I felt like the lightsaber by itself wasn't enough of a representation for my childhood. So the way that we then transfer all these builds from this world into Metacraft is by using a beautiful mod called Lightmatica, which is a schematic mod. Using this magical stick here, what you can do is you can copy one of these builds. So let's use R2, for example. Create new selection. Let's call this PP Poo Poo, which is just a classic name. If you don't use it, you're missing out. So you select one corner of the build there, and then you select the other corner, and you can kind of stretch it out like this to make sure you fit all the blocks in. But once you have it right where you want it, you would then go back, hit configure, and then save the schematic. We're not going to do that because, like I said, we have already done it. So then what we would do is we'd go into Metacraft, and we would take that schematic, we would load it, and then we can place it specifically where we'd want it to be. And what you could do if you were in like a creative world and there was no real rules, you could then just paste it like that. But we don't do that. Not in Metacraft. What we would do is build it layer by layer. So as you hear me frantically pressing page down over and over again to lower the Y level. There we go. We would start at the lowest layer of the build, place the blocks, and then go up and up and up and up and up. So if you ever paid attention to our time lapses, you'd notice we build from the bottom to the top, and that's because of this schematic mod enabling us to do so. So then back on Metacraft, it becomes a process of either finding a nice vantage point like the top of the Jenga tower or flying around the base to figure out where the best places for each build would be with minimal terraforming. Yeah, no, this was not minimal terraforming right there. And then going and building it at that point. But how can you build it without knowing exactly how many blocks the build has? Well, that's also where the schematic mod comes in. When you go to load schematics, you can click on whichever schematic it is. So for example, let's do the Grogu one, and then you click on material list, and it shows you exactly what materials you need for that build. So for Grogu, we would need 56 black concrete, 38 brown, 38 lime, and 18 white terracotta. Of course, you know that that means I would be spending a lot of time in here converting some concrete. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing, because all of those builds that we are planning on making right now, the pixel arts, are made mostly out of concrete. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to blow some stuff up. Thanks to Tony Truck, the various farms we have for collecting dye, and our concrete converter, we were very quickly able to gather all of the blocks that we need for all of the pixel arts that we want to build, and then put all of those blocks into different shulkers for each build. And now is the time where I would look at the camera and say, roll the footage. And that would be a time lapse of all of the builds. But I'm also going to explain to you how I make those time lapses. It's using a mod called Replay Mod, where once I'm ready to start building, I will hit escape and hit the start recording button. And once I'm done with the building, I'll hit stop recording, and then it gives me a replay file. And I'm going to show you an example of one of those after I've made these builds. So I'm going to go ahead and make the builds now, and then we'll cut ahead to the replay footage editing process. Go. So now that I've made the pixel arts, I can show you an example of a replay file, and I'm going to show you the Grogu one because it's the shortest and quickest one. So we're here at the beginning of the replay file, and for a time lapse as simple as this one, all you would need is a video and time keyframe at the very beginning of the replay file, and then another one at the end of each. So then you would get something that looks a little bit like this. Now, other types of time lapses for different types of builds might be a little bit more difficult, especially if you want to get a little bit more involved with the details of things, but this suits our purposes, and there you go. There you have it. At this point, you would just end up hitting render camera path, and I would render one of these with and without shaders. Then I just import the videos into the project file, and then order them how I need them to be ordered, and add some music, and then I can show you so that you can enjoy. If we didn't have enough Star Wars in the base before, we didn't. We definitely do now. Actually, I have to stop myself. That's absolutely a lie. You can never have enough Star Wars, but we have supplied a sufficient amount of Star Wars, I'd say, here in the base between our lightsaber centerpiece and then all of these beautiful pixel arts. sometimes I can find myself thinking a little too hard about where I should put certain things, but ultimately where everything is just feels like the right spot. I mean, having Grogu down near our nether portal, which is where everybody comes and goes from, it's like, hello, you're being greeted by the cutest, most cuddly force wielder in the galaxy. Easy choice there. And then, a stormtrooper or a fake Finn, guarding the baby gate. I think that just, feels appropriate. A soldier guarding a gate. And then over here, I had to put the Jawa and R2 together. These are not the droids you're looking for. Different scene, different, line, but still like, the Jawa with the R2. It makes sense. And then this one here, once I realized that Vader fit perfectly in between the TIE fighter's wings like this, I had to recreate this scene from Star Wars Rebels Twilight of the Apprentice. If you know, you know. I will actually put a picture on screen for reference. This is one of my favorite moments from my favorite Star Wars animated series. I am such a geek for that show. And yeah, now I have a piece of that right here in the childhood. So, moving on with the episode, I want to build one more thing in the childhood today. And it's kind of an interesting build because while everything here in the childhood was a part of my childhood in some way, the only thing that was also a very big part of my childhood that hasn't been represented in here is Minecraft itself. And to do that, I've decided that I want to recreate the house that I would build on every single world that I played in, whether it was a server or a single player world. I'm sure everybody at some point in their Minecraft journey had one like go-to build or building style that they would do. Well, I'm going to recreate that in this base here. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it, but we're going to cut to a little building montage of that, and I'm probably going to have some voiceovers going on. So we'll continue our conversation. If you're still watching at this point of the video, I'm gonna assume you're someone who is invested in my channel and keeps up with my videos and streams. So finally, 15 minutes into the video, I'm gonna address the fact that this is my first upload in over 3 months, the longest period of time between uploads on my channel in 5 years. I wish I could blame it on something like some extravagant escapade gallivanting through the wilderness, saving wildlife and curing disease, or even just my computer breaking again, but the truth is a bit more complex. The truth is, I'm going through a lot of personal growing pains recently, and it has caused me to reflect on every single aspect of my life in a very real way. With every part of my life, I have asked myself the question, why do I want to do this? And worked my hardest to find the answer. If I succeeded in finding the answer and didn't like what it was, then I made a course of action for how to make the necessary change. If you know who I am, you know that I'm a professional dancer and instructor first and a gamer second. Dance and video games are the two biggest factors in my life, with dance easily being the thing for which I am most passionate. With that being said, I have decided that being a dance instructor for a living is no longer my path, and I am currently wrapping up my final season at the dance studios where I work. When I questioned why I wanted to be a dance instructor, I didn't like my answer, and so I drew the truly difficult conclusion to change my path. It made me realize that if I can alter my relationship with dance at this point in my life, then I can do the same with video games. Minecraft, YouTube, and making videos have been massive hobbies and influences on my life, and it took me way too long to merge those together. By the time I had done it, the market was incredibly oversaturated and competitive, and most people with an opinion would have told you not to even try and build a gaming channel. Well, I tried anyway, and honestly, it kind of sucked for the first couple of years. But it was during the pandemic where I had nothing else to do, and I really loved and enjoyed the process of making something cool in Minecraft and then making a cool video to show it off. I was realistically making the videos for myself to enjoy. I was creating the content that I wanted to see. Eventually, I got more involved in the platform and found ways to grow my channel and community, and slowly I started finding some consistent success. So I decided to chase it and pump out as much content as I could. Over the years, my standard for each upload increased, and therefore the amount of work and effort each upload took followed suit. Eventually, the analytics started to show that the traffic for my channel was declining instead of increasing, and I started questioning all of the work I was putting in and wondering if it was worth my while to make it worth my while anymore, if you know what I'm saying. The answer to my question was there all along. Why did I start making Minecraft content? I started making it for myself, not for anybody or anything else. From here on out, if I make a video, it will be because I wanted to make it for me, and I wanted to share it with you. There will be no upload schedule. There will just be videos when they are ready for my viewing pleasure, and maybe yours too. So anyway, yeah, that's why we just built my childhood Minecraft house. Now that I've pulled the curtain back a bit on the process behind how I make some of my Minecraft content, and now that we've talked a bit about how uploads will be managed in the future on this channel while we were building our old school childhood Minecraft house, all that's left for us to do today in this episode is, well, a couple things. One pretty big thing and one small fun thing that we will save for the end of the episode. But the bigger thing is a bunch of infrastructure. I'm not going to bore you with that. It's just going to be a quick time lapse that will roll right now. And with all of that, we now have what is gonna have to be considered our completed base for Season 3 of Metacraft. There's definitely still some empty space I was hoping to make some use of. This spot right here, and then I actually kind of forgot about this little area here. There's a cool little enclave here that I thought might have some potential. But alas, the server is actually gonna be going down in a few hours later today. And I'm still here adding last minute details like these lampposts on the side of the road. And yeah, statues of myself waving hello / goodbye to any visitors that may be coming in and out from any direction, I suppose. But like I said, there's one more fun thing that I would like to do before we end this episode, and I think I need it to be somewhere up high, and I was hoping to have it more in line with Blossom Hills, but I think this spot right here on top of this hill is probably going to serve us the best, just because I still want it to be sort of close to the actual base itself. I was thinking on top of that hill, which, by the way, I don't think I've ever shown on video. This is where all the animals from this area decided to go and congregate, and I mean, like, all of them. It's insane. I don't know what is going on there with the game code, but, like, yeah, every mob from down here was like, nah. But I also repopulated with bees over here recently. They just happen to all be hiding in their hives. Anyway, distractions. Elytra launcher. Heard of it? We're going to put one, I guess, right here. We're going to have to clear these trees out of the way, which I'll start doing now. While I build the Elytra launcher in the background, I want to tell you about the future of this series. Even though the server's coming down in just a few hours for us to begin our next journey, I will still have 2 more episodes releasing in Season 3. A few of the Metacrafters got together recently to have a game day playing all of the different mini-games that were built in this world, and I recorded those shenanigans, and they will be compiled into one big episode for your viewing pleasure, and then we will conclude the season with a world tour in the following episode. So that will bring our season total up to a nice round 20 episodes, which was ultimately my goal all along for Season 3. During the time that those videos are being released, I will be recording some content to make videos on Metacraft Season 3.5, but I'll mostly be streaming from the server during that transition season, which by the time of this video's release has already begun. Alright, quick, it's becoming nighttime. Place these ladders. Alright, we can give this thing a test spin. I have no idea how this is gonna go, to be honest with you. And yeah! I may have used too many boats. Epic fail. Alright, let's sleep because it is nighttime. Well, at least we get to see the scenic route now. We can hop across the lily pads and we can follow this path. So maybe it's laziness, but I feel like instead of adjusting how many boats are in there, I'm just going to try again. And I think I'm going to try and look a little lower as I fly down, because I think I might have been looking a little high up, and I just clipped these slabs as I was going through, and it was enough to kill me. So let's give that another try. Yup. Oh! Oh my goodness, we went so high up too. Alright, the whole point of this was to have an even faster way to get back to the town hall / Blossom Hills in general. But oh yeah, that I just never expect quite how satisfying that's gonna be, going through an Elytra launcher. They've been in the game for pretty much as long as Elytra's been in the game, but I've only made them in a few of my worlds, and I'm really regretting building this moments before the season ends, but I am happy that I did build it for those of you that end up downloading the world and checking out all of our bases from this season. Well, now I want one over there to come all the way back, but whatever. This'll do. Let's write it one more time. And while we write it, I might as well say peace out to all of you. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Whee! That is awesome.